What's going on, Jerome? It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. Happy hump day out there to those who celebrate. Firing up another Vikings news dump. Let's have a good day. So first up, so the Kwesi PFF controversy, or really controversy, that took over social media yesterday. We explained it in a standalone video. Basically, it was Kwesi complimenting PFF, and I understand what he was trying to say, but the fact that Kwesi comes from a non-football background, the fact that people are super skeptical about PFF to begin with, the fact that Kwesi has not had two stellar drafts, I mean, there's going to be criticism. Now, if Kwesi had two Brad Holmes type drafts and he said, look, yeah, PFF, I mean, would help their sales. But not so much. And lots of people had thoughts on things. I think what it is that someone from a non-football background using an analytical approach to try and merge the two, I think it's smart, but it's a bad look. I mean, it's from Matthew Collar's book. Kwesi didn't have to say anything for the book, didn't have to be interviewed, didn't have to compliment PFF, but also it's information that's been out there for months, but finally people just ran with it. But either way, like JEROME, Ezekiel Sluter, former Vikings legend, former Vikings preseason legend, also a Spielman guy. So he chimed in. All right, so ML Football put out a tweet. News, Vikings GM Kwesi says he uses PFF to help select which players he wants on his team, which isn't 100% accurate, but, so Sluter, Dutch pronunciation. If this is true, I can't express how bad of a look this is. Stats and numbers can't possibly tell you everything you need to know about a game that's played with heart and passion. My eye can tell you who's good better than a number can. And he's right. Where I feel like there can be a merging of the two worlds where analytics and performance and metrics can be integrated with, hey, eyeball test. That's why a lot of scouts, a lot of coaches, decision makers, like, they can watch all the tape that they want on a prospect. That's why they want to be at the pro days. That's why they want to be at the combine and the Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl, is that they want to see a player up close and personal, because you can tell. You can tell if a guy has it or if he doesn't, beyond the numbers. So I think that there's a marrying of the two, but I mean, Kwesi sort of got cooked yesterday, so he definitely has to cook in free agency and this upcoming draft. One time, man. Although he should get credit for Addison, and he should get credit for getting Pace Jr. as the UDFA. Speaking of coaches, that don't have a good transition, but speaking of Kyle's, nailed it. Kyle Shanahan was at the open media night on Monday at the Super Bowl. Now, there's a lot of people speculating that Kyle was kind of loose, right? So maybe he had smoked a little something, maybe had a couple drinks, allegedly. Who knows? But he seemed very relaxed. He seemed very open. And this is in complete contrast to the Niners last time they played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, where, I mean, he was trying to win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. He was trying to defend a 10-point fourth quarter lead with Jimmy G. What was going to happen? And he did notice that year that the 49ers were extremely tight. And maybe that's something that they're trying to get away from this year, where I feel like if they play fun, fast, loose, free football, I think that they will have a puncher's chance against the Chiefs. I think that they are favored for a reason. And maybe this is a good sign. It's from the America's game from the 2007 Giants, where Tom Coughlin is this very stern, all buttoned up guy, and Super Bowl week before they play the 18-0 Patriots, he's out in the parking lot eating an In-N-Out burger, and that was like a sign to Strahan and the teams that, hey, he's relaxed, so we can be relaxed and let's just play. So maybe that's it. Maybe Shanahan had a couple summer shandies, before. Well, no. Couple red hooks, and then he decided to take the mic, which is great, man. Something that's also great is all right. So WFAN, a premier sports talk radio station in New York, and their morning show, Boomer and Geo. Boomer, used to be Boomer and Carton, but stuff happened. But Boomer Esiason, father of Chris Sims, he got duped. Or at least his producer got duped. So they were thinking that they were booking Randy Moss for their morning show, but it turned out to be horse racing Randy Moss, which is something that's happened quite a bit. Now, horse racing Randy Moss is like a shriveled up 70-year-old white dude. He's still very good at his job, and frankly, I think his horse racing takes are great. But it was so hilarious. And Randy Moss just chimed in, someone got mossed. I love it. I love it, man. Actually, I bet you Randy Moss is into horse racing too. Because why the hell not? But so I would love to, not interview, but just like have a chat with Randy Moss and talk about life, like everything except for football. Like, want to talk about Randy Moss growing up in West Virginia? Want to talk about bass fishing? Just talk about the good in life, as opposed to, hey, when you caught that touchdown, that was awesome. Or hey, you remember when you mooned the Packers fans? That was awesome. Something that better be awesome is freaking Kwesi in free agency this offseason. So no more $13 million deals for Marcus Davenport. Sometimes you gamble and lose, but Purple Persuasion put this together. According to Al Goose, The Athletic, here are 8 high-end free agent options for the Vikings to take a swing at. Christian Wilkins, a defensive tackle of the Dolphins, first draft pick of Brian Flores when he was head coach in 2019. Chase Young, who's a free agent now. He former number 2 overall pick by the Commies, traded to the Niners. Ain't about that effort in run pursuit. I don't know, man. Patrick Queen of the Baltimore Ravens. So the off-ball linebacker has had a complete makeover this year, where the value is certainly there. I mean, because people were pissing him out. It's like, how come you're paying Roquan with $20 million a season? Because he makes that big of an impact on the game. All right. So, and also you look at Fred Warner. You look at Dre Greenlaw, and Patrick Queen, played his balls off this year, so I would love to keep him in purple. Frankie Louvu, also in the off-ball linebacker mold. DJ Reader, the nose tackle of the Bengals, who got dinged up in the game against the Vikings, but in terms of interior pressure, in terms of shutting down the run, I think he would be perfect. Jonathan Grenard of the Texans, if Daniil does indeed leave. Saquon Barkley. I know it's more about name value, but Saquon is a little bit older and a little bit more injury prone than Josh Jacobs. But I like Josh Jacobs, man. And Chidobe Awuzie. No, that's all I got just now. Nah. But either way, the Vikings will have some money to spend, especially if the things with Kirk don't go their way, especially if things with Daniil don't go their way. And I mean, there's a lot of speculation right now that Kirko might be gone now, which we'll talk about him in a sec. But so Detroit. On one hand, I respect that Detroit is all about the chest thumping now, but I feel like they might be a flash in the pan, and I feel like they're a little bit over their skis. But Woodward Sports Network, which is Detroit sports. So this is obviously a homer take. I'm sure we've had a bunch of them similar like this before, but this one is just out there, man. Is Amon-Ra St. Brown a better wide receiver than Justin Jefferson? And this dude, I don't know who this guy is, but he went on a full-on diatribe about why Amon-Ra is better than JJ. And I respect the hell out of Amon-Ra St. Brown, the pride of USC. And it just seems like if it's 3rd and 9, Amon-Ra will catch a 10-yard pass. If it's 3rd and 14, Amon-Ra will catch a 15-yard pass. If it's 3rd and 79, Amon-Ra will catch an 80-yard pass. All right, so he's money, but I mean, JJ is just that guy. JJ is a generational talent, and I love that Amon-Ra got some respect this year, had a major season, $119 receptions, 15-15 receiving, 10 touchdowns. It's great. It's great. Fully respected there. But also, could you imagine pairing up JJ and Amon-Ra? That'd be really damn good. But I feel like Justin Jefferson is an absolute alpha. He is a receiver that can absolutely carry a passing game. Amon-Ra is great underneath, but also you look at the yards per catch, and JJ is threatening at all 3 levels. Also, you look at his ADOT, and it's not just yards after catch, but Amon-Ra is. I will say to say this, but is he like just a much better Jarvis Landry? Just a better version. Again, that's not an aspersion. That's not trying to denigrate him, but is he that? Whereas JJ is a true blue wide receiver, playing at the X, playing at the Z, playing in the slot, wherever. Could be. Speaking of Kirk Cousins. No smooth transition, but Kirk Cousins and his contract is the major question this offseason. And Andrew Kramer, the Star Tribune, weighed in on some thoughts on it. So apparently, according to Kramer, Cousins was open to reducing his 2023 cap number, but only if the Vikings recommitted to him for the next 3 years. So basically what it was is when, 2 off seasons ago, they had the 1-year, $35 million Band-Aid deal, and the Vikings, this isn't groundbreaking news, because we generally knew this last off season. A lot of people did, but just reinforced here is really super interesting. So the Vikings were basically looking for something similar, a 1-year deal, and Kirk was reportedly looking for 3. But yeah, it did not happen because I think the Vikings wanted to keep their flexibility this offseason. This is what Kramer said, quote, I had also heard that he wasn't asking for $40 million. He wasn't asking for that much in terms of what Daniel Jones got, who was obviously much younger but much less accomplished. Cousins camp was kind of surprised, I guess, from what I heard, at the Vikings not jumping or accepting what they were asking for. So say the Vikings were offered by Kirk and his camp like a 3-year, $99 million deal, 99 problems, and Kirk is all of them. But say 33 somewhere in there per season, but for 3 years, extending him through age 38. I don't know, man. I feel like that would have been a tough sell. Although Kirk was playing at an extremely high level before he popped his Achilles. Yes, 0-3, 1-4, but Kirk wasn't necessarily the problem in those games. But I think they wanted to keep their options open specifically for if something like this happened, where you got a guy coming off an Achilles injury, which is not 100%, and also he's going to be 36 years of age. Also, GMs, decision makers have to look forward to the next drafts, and Kwesi and the scouts had to know that 2024 was going to be one of the deepest quarterback classes in NFL history. So I think that's exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to evaluate Kirk. They didn't want to tether themselves to Kirk through 2026, and I think that's currently where we're at right now. Also, where we're at right now is the Gophers get a big-time win over the Michigan State Spartans and Tom Izzo face in the barn last night. Now, we're not going to talk about the Wolves blowing a 23-point lead on the road in Chicago. We're not going to talk about that because it's too frustrating. But hey, Kirk, you like that? But of course, I wear a Michigan State shirt every now and then. I'm a fan of Tom Izzo. I respect the program, but big-time win for Ben Johnson and the Gophers. Plus, Carlos Gonzo over at Strib Photo. Goldie Gopher attempted to place a Minnesota jersey on former Michigan State quarterback Kirk Cousins during a game versus the Spartans at Williams Arena in Minneapolis. And Kirk sitting there taking it all in. Now, it's interesting because Kirk has generally been rehabbing back home in Michigan, so he's coming in special for this. It's good, and I don't know what it is like. Obviously Kirk is an alumni, but he knows that this plays with the home crowd. He knows that there's going to be cameras. He knows that he's playing the game right now in terms of free agency. So it's interesting. It really is interesting. Also, I just realized this is Kirk celebrating a win in the large house. Cool. Speaking of large house, you can win a large house if you gamble. No, entertainment purposes only. But Tony Romo, who, once Tony Romo got the fat contract from CBS, he's just mailing things in now. Jim. Tony Romo might be the least prepared announcer that I've ever seen. And it's ridiculous right now. But Romo is tis. Romo says gambling's influence on football makes it feel less pure. I grew up where we never talked about or thought about lines or anything like that in football. Baloney. Tony Romo grew up in Wisconsin. So, around the bars when he was, when you're a kid, you can drink in the bars with your parents if they're with. It's weird, man. But guaranteed. Deep in Packer country, they were talking about, hope that the Packers can cover the 14.5-point spread. Hopefully Lindy Infante's got them going really good, or Forrest Gregg's got them really good this year. The Packers were garbage in the 80s, man. Also, most of the 70s, too. But no one wants to talk about that. Anyways, Romo's sitting up here on his pedestal in his ivory tower, but does he know that the NFL is basically built on sports betting? Most professional leagues are, because all this rah, civic pride, love of the game, a lot of that is nonsense. And even fans that are hardcore, they usually got a couple bucks riding on the game too. Let's be honest here. And do you think that TV ratings would be so big for the NFL if there wasn't any gambling involved? And we're talking about sports betting. We're talking about prop bets. We're talking about fantasy football, which, yes, is gambling. If your league has a buy-in, yes, you are gambling. And it's ridiculous. Like, who would pay attention to a Thursday night, I don't know, Jaguars, Jaguars, no, I'm trying to think of two bad teams. Oh, Viking, no. Who would pay attention to a Thursday night Giants-Bears game, just randomly, if they didn't have a little something on the Giants minus 4.5 or the over/under? Right? It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's kind of hypocritical because Tony Romo would not be making the salary that he makes at CBS if the ratings weren't that high. He would not have made all the money he did as quarterback of the Cowboys, America's team, if interest in the league wasn't that high. And a big part of the ratings is sports betting. You know, people watching these games to sweat out their bets or sweat out their fantasy teams. It's all the same thing, and he just doesn't get it. Like, does he know that the reason that the NFL has to file injury reports is because of inside information on injuries and sports betting? Because could you imagine that? All right, so say that the Chiefs were playing the Raiders on a random day, and Patrick Mahomes wasn't going to play because he had an injury. Could you imagine if that information wasn't out there, but someone inside the Chiefs organization said to a couple of his family, friends, and connections, like, Patrick's probably not going to go on Sunday, so how about you put a couple racks on the Raiders money line or something like that? That's exactly why they have the injury reports. It's ridiculous. But it's just, Romo's obviously just been in a bubble, and he feels like, oh, this is for love of the game, but it's so stupid. Less pure my ass. Get the hell out of here, man. All right. Also, speaking of get the hell out of here, so cable's back. This is from Discussing Film. Fox, Warner Brothers, and Disney are set to launch a new sports streaming joint venture in the fall. The venture will put ESPN, TNT, and Fox Sports on a new app together. This is basically back to cable. Now, I understand that people are complaining about, hey, just to watch these games, I have to get ESPN, I have to get Amazon Prime, I have to get Peacock, I have to get all this stuff. Fully understand that. But, this is what we wanted. Because when there was a monopoly on cable, like Charter, DirecTV, whatever you had, and it was a flat rate for 500 channels when you only watch 3. This is what we wanted, right? So I kind of like that everything is a la carte, and even if you just got all the channels too, it. To a degree, sure, it could tally up to close to being cable, but the flexibility, you can cancel at any time, generally, and you can pick and choose the ones that you want, generally. That's way better. It's way better. But now they're teaming up. So, just wait until Peacock and Paramount Plus get on board. So, NBC and CBS will be all in, and then we're back to cable. One app for $160 a month, plus internet, plus, hey, you want home telephone? We can do that too. Bundle. It's so stupid, man. Something's not stupid is guys only want one thing, and it's effing disgusting. What guys want? The Texas defensive tackles. Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy II. Bring it. Bring it on, man. Anyways, that's it. Let us know your thoughts on our thoughts. Vikings Wednesday news dump. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull, production value.